Welcome to the Geekcentric podcast, and welcome to our review for Amazon Prime's The Boys Season 3. There's something wrong with Homelander. Welcome to Geekcentric. My name is Kev, and this is our review for The Boys, episodes 1 through 3 of Season 3. We figured that because the first 3 episodes were dropped at once, we should almost take a look at them as an extended 3-episode event. And what an event it has been thus far. And then, of course, we'll be back after the season finale to give you our thoughts on the season as a whole. But first, if you're joining us for the first time, this is Geekcentric, a podcast looking at the world of film, television, games, toys, and collectibles, and all things geek-centric. Keep in mind that we will be going into full-ass spoilers for these episodes and for any of the previous batshit crazy things that have happened on this show. So if you haven't watched the first 3 episodes yet, be sure to do so and rush back here faster than a train running through Huey's girlfriend. Now, before we put our capes and tights on, let me introduce you to my sidekick joining me today. Hairier than a northern yeti, more friendly than a Canadian border agent. It's a nerd. It's a geek. It's Nate.
Hashtag release the Bork cut. Am I right? Oh my gosh, dude. And listen, you might have already been able to tell by the way Kevin's talking, but this episode is, if you normally listen to the Geekcentric podcast as a family, you huddle around the little fireplace and put on your little speaker podcast out of your little Hello Kitty speaker or whatever. This is going to get fucking crazy. So get ready for that.
Yeah, I think we're earning the explicit E for this episode.
Finally.
I think that's the only way the only way it works for a show like this. It's going to be really hard to tiptoe around some of the things that happen using our our safety words. So we're letting shit fly here. We're going
so
for
many
it.
Explosions in every way. I'm so stoked to talk about it.
Absolutely. Now, before we do talk about this season, it's probably going to be a good idea to really quickly catch up with regards to where we left our despicable superheroes in this absolutely nutty satire of the DC and Marvel universes. In Season 2, we meet Stormfront, who becomes a member of the Seven. Before long, we learn her true identity as Clara Reisinger, and that she was born in Germany over 100 years ago. Thanks to her plasma-based abilities, regenerative healing factor, and longevity, she looks just a bit younger. She was the first successful Compound V subject, receiving an injection from her husband, Frederick Vought, a late geneticist for the Nazis who created Compound V, which, of course, is the secret and the trick to this whole superhero nonsense in general. And then in the Season 2 finale, Butcher's wife, Becca, confronts Stormfront, who tries to kill her, before Ryan, a.k.a. Becca and Homelander's son, uses his laser eyes for the first time, amputating Stormfront's limbs, burning her face off, but also unintentionally killing Becca in the process. Whoops.
Yeah, dude, he Anakins her, like, bad. And he even loses his mom. So in a way, it's like, it's very Star Wars. Oh, my gosh.
I've never thought of the similarities there,
Yeah.
but it's certainly interesting to think of. But
having an evil father,
yeah.
it's all there, dude.
I guess with different characters. So what, is he the Luke then?
I guess so. I don't know. Maybe my analogy is getting a little messy, but that's okay.
Now, Stormfront's injuries leave her in a dazed state on the ground, muttering something in German. Homelander later announces in a press conference that she's been incarcerated, which might not be as true as we'll soon find out in the first episode. Really quickly, in addition, we learn that Vought is now attempting to stabilize Compound V so they can inject it into adults. Queen Maeve stands up to Homelander to save Butcher and Ryan and to protect Starlight. This involves blackmailing Homelander with footage of the airplane passengers he forces Maeve to abandon in Season 1. Grace Mallory, who once worked as the deputy director of the CIA and later founded the Boys, informs Butcher that not only is he now a free man, but also that the White House is opening an office of soup affairs led by Congresswoman Victoria Newman, who's sneaking Mallory off the books funding for a team that can keep tabs on the Supes. Butcher doesn't explicitly say yes or no to the gig, but something tells me the option is there for him. And then, of course, speaking of Victoria Newman, she recruits Huey to help her with her seemingly good intentions. However, the audience has shown that she actually has what I would call mind-blowing superpowers.
So mind-blowing.
In what is... it was quite the explosive little final sequence of season 2 there. All right, well, let's tidy it up here. We'll move right into episode 1. Our first episode of season 3 is called Payback. The episode opens with a glimpse at the Vought-produced superhero epic Dawn of the Seven, which has clearly undergone some rewrites after the whole Stormfront debacle. At the premiere of the movie, Huey and Starlight have gone public with their romance. By contrast, Homelander appears to be doing everything in his power to move on from his torrid affair with Stormfront. We see him in a series of red carpet interviews saying all the right things, even though his eyes are telling a different story. Next, we're introduced to the new working dynamic of Huey and Butcher, which includes superhero surveillance. As Huey describes it, just photos, no violence or maiming or torture or curb stomping or setting things on fire. All of Butcher's favorite things. We learn that the target of this investigation first here is Termite, who we actually met way back in episode 1 of the series, and who's ostensibly this universe's Ant-Man.
Yeah.
During a cocaine-fueled tryst with a male companion, and in an homage to many memes that were going around back in the day about how Ant-Man could be used to take down Thanos, we get our first truly boys moment of the season. I suppose it's safe to say the boys are back. What did you think of our reintroduction to this lurid superhero tale?
Kevin, I watched these 3 episodes on a plane home from Anaheim and trying to hide my iPad in so many moments. I was lucky enough to get to fly business class for the first time in my life, which I don't know how I can ever go back now. Let's just
you'll never be able to go back.
I don't
now.
think I
it's
can.
A dangerous.
Good.
That's a more dangerous path to walk down than up the urethra of a lover.
100%, especially financially. But we got these little pillows because we had to sleep over on one of the planes, and I was using that little pillow to block, all these moments of a man crawling up another man's dick and exploding him in not the way that you would imagine.
Right.
I was there was so many moments where I was turning red, and not just because I had a crazy sunburn watching the show on the plane, but it just speaks to the style of the show. It speaks to the essence of what the comic books do. And, in a lot of ways, it's gratuitous, but it's gratuitous in the right ways. It doesn't feel like it's doing it just to put a bunch of blood on screen. It does it for comedic effect. It does it for storytelling. It does it for shock value. And the moment that happened, I was just like, okay, yep, this is the boys. I remember. But I also loved, seeing Homelander, and I think we immediately get a sense of his character in this episode. We see he's definitely out of it. He's really not in a good place. During the Dawn of the Seven premiere, I love seeing him in all the different newscasts, and of course, you see Stan Edgar in the background, just like luring over him, watching every single word he's saying. And I love kind of just seeing this version of Homelander just kind of so out of it, so much farther removed than we've ever seen him before. But yeah, dude, I think it's just Anthony Starr is just incredible. I hang on every single moment with him.
He's terrifying, and they've always sort of played. We've seen moments about what would be like if somebody with Superman's powers was unhinged.
Yeah.
But they've always sort of managed to keep him grounded. He's always had somebody there to sort of keep him focused and on the right, maybe not the right track, but at least on one that doesn't involve murdering all of humanity. And as these 3 episodes go, especially, we're starting to really get a glimpse into what Homelander unhinged might be like. And like you said, Anthony Starr is so good. He's so terrifying. It's chilling just the way he can fake that smile while also conveying a completely different sense of insanity with his eyes. He's really a lot of fun to watch.
And I don't think he says it in this episode, but within these episodes, he mentions, like, I have nothing else to lose. You can release that clip of me on the plane, and we see him and Maeve as they leave that plane. I think that was from season 2, but he's like, you can release it, but then there's nothing else. And he starts describing in perfect accuracy his plan to just destroy the world. And the scariest part is he totally can. He's completely capable of doing that.
Well, and it's clear he has thought about exactly what he would do if it ever got to that point, and that's the scariest thing, is that he has the potential to do it and he's planned it out. But we aren't quite there. We aren't quite there yet. Just to wrap up the rest of some more important moments from the episode, we see Mother's Milk. He says that he's doing well, on the right track, but he also shows that he has a very deep interest in a character or a former superhero called Soldier Boy. Stan Edgar, who you mentioned, the head of Vought, informs Homelander and Starlight that they will be co-captains of the team, much to each other's chagrin. That's going to lead to some very interesting moments of chemistry, or a lack thereof. Edgar's also seen explaining V-24 to a member of the military, thus opening up what is obviously a huge plot of this season, the ability to turn anyone into a superhero for 24 hours. We also get a scene where Queen Maeve explains to Butcher that the aforementioned Soldier Boy didn't actually die stopping a nuclear reactor back in the 80s, but was killed by something called BCL Red, which they postulate could be used to kill Homelander once and for all. In addition, she gives Butcher a vial of V24, or Temp V, as we're going to call it from here on out.
I like that.
Finally, man, this episode is crammed. Finally, the episode ends when Huey sees Victoria Newman, his partner in the superhero surveillance business, talking to somebody who keeps calling her Nadia. Soon, a fight breaks out between Nadia and this mystery man, and Nadia uses her explodey powers in cruel and tragic fashion.
Oh my gosh.
Just decimating this poor guy. And now Huey knows the truth, and we are fully underway for season 3.
Dude, it's like, I love seeing the journey that Huey goes on in this episode. He's in such a good place at the beginning of this episode.
Uptown girl,
right?
Yeah,
so good, and you feel so happy for him, and you're like, "Fuck yeah, Huey, you get it. Like, you deserve this after everything that's happened to him." I mean, the first few scenes we see with him, his girlfriend was literally run through, literally, and exploded in front of him. So he deserves to have this life, and I love seeing him with Starlight, and I love seeing their relationship, and I love seeing his relationship with Victoria, and with, their working relationship. And, again, she comes off so much as an AOC, so much as an Alexandria Ocasio, Cortez, and she's so charming. And I love that about their relationship, and seeing what they're, how they connect over the sandwich and things like that. And it just makes it so much more impactful when he finds out that his whole year was a lie. And we get to kind of see that in the next episode. But I love that. I love, as we've already brought up, how fearful they are of Homelander. I think it's just, again, we've seen it before, but this has brought it to a whole new level where we just see all these instances between him. There's a moment with him in A-Train where it's just, you can tell who is on top of this food chain, and it's fantastic. I also wanted to bring up Payback. It reminded me so much when they show that picture of Payback. I'm like, oh, The Watchmen. There we go. That's
big time Watchmen vibes.
Right?
Absolutely.
So good, and I'm excited to talk a lot more about them as well. And I think the only other thing I kind of wanted to bring up was the scene near the end of this episode. There's a moment where Butcher is talking to Homelander. We see Homelander just standing outside of Butcher's apartment. He invites him in. They share a cup of tea, and it very quickly becomes at first I was like, is that them? Is he actually talking to Homelander here? But I think it was very much him convincing himself to take the V. It was it was Butcher convincing himself to become everything that he hates. And this was the only way that he could possibly rationalize it, was to create this persona of Homelander in front of him. And we do see it again in these 3 episodes, but I loved that scene. I thought it was really powerful. And again, even bringing up Billy Butcher. I mean, dude, Carl Urban he's just never left that character. He's so phenomenal as Billy Butcher. There's so many funny moments with him and just the way he talks. And yeah, dude, absolutely fantastic first kickoff of this season.
Yeah, I'm almost glad that we got a few episodes here, because they really do feel like they tell the first almost third of this season's story. And so having to wait another couple weeks to get these pieces of information about what we're going to be looking at and going through, I think it was a brilliant idea to sort of give us all 3 at once.
And I just have to say really quickly, speaking of the story, the fact that V24 is temporary, yes, it fits really well within the world of the boys. It fits really well with Vought trying to perfect and militarize the V compound, but it also feels like a really cheesy comic book rule. And I think it's cool that we've gotten to season 3, and by now, because of the world is so established for people who have never really necessarily read the comics, they can sort of get away with introducing this very cheesy sort of like very convenient aspect to the story with V24, and it fits so well. And I actually originally I was a little bit miffed by it, but I kind of came around to it in just seeing, again, just sort of forgiving them because of how far we've come with these characters in this world. I loved it.
Yeah, no, lots of really subtle in a show that's not often subtle. Whenever they can weave something subtle into the story, it just shows how great the writing can really be, and it doesn't always have to be in your face. But let's move right on to episode 2. The second episode is called "The Only Man in the Sky." And I'd say compared to the explosive opener of episode 1, episode 2 is almost more a settling of the plot, where the gears are finally in motion. The full ramifications of Huey's revelation at the end of episode 1 are explored, as well as the implications of what steers Butcher into uncharted territory. And I also love how episode 2 opens very similarly to episode 1 in that we get the trailer for the upcoming Deep biopic, Not Without My Dolphin, starring
Kevin.
Billy Zane and the Deep himself.
Dude, it was giving me Hallmark Channel vibes so desperately. It's absolutely phenomenal, and just the fact that he's so into it is the best part. Like, I love how he thinks it's like a really important thing, and that it's gonna be, it's so important. I absolutely,
it's his ticket to redemption. Oh yeah, he's completely sold. I mean, poor Deep is he's just lost.
Yeah, 100%.
He has no clue. It's very sad, and it gets worse for him as we go along here.
Yeah, and it's interesting with the way Chase Crawford is such a charming looking character. But again, that's the best thing about these series is they flip these aspects on their head. They give you the sort of the best looking of the group, and they just make him this skeezy, awful, terrible human being who, we'll obviously talk about in episode 3 when he does encounter Starlight, but you just immediately reminded of that through that moment of just the terrible, awful things that he's done. And again, it's just, you feel a little bit bad for the guy, but then you don't. And I think, again, this show, even with characters like Homelander, does such a good job of sort of being like, these are the worst people I've ever seen. But for half a second, you sometimes are out of that, and then they drag you right back into how terrible they are.
Every time they give them a glimmer of humanity, they strip it away and make them monsters again. And it's always fun exploring that. In this episode, we see Butcher attempting to get the boys back together, explaining his plan to take down Homelander, even though Mother's Milk is still refusing here. We learn that Soldier Boy had 2 superhero partners, if you will, Crimson Countess and Gunpowder, the latter of whom Butcher confronts at a firearm convention, which is just eerie timing with everything going on with that. But I mean, it's a good way of I enjoyed the the mockery of that whole culture, if you will. They really do bring that to the forefront here. And so Butcher confronts Gunpowder, trying to get more information on Soldier Boy. It almost ends very poorly as we see Gunpowder's ability to aim bullets almost at will. It's very much like James McAvoy. What was that movie? Was it Wanted, where they were doing all the
and the curved bullets?
Yeah.
Unreal.
And Gunpowder almost takes out Butcher, but later in the episode, Butcher confronts him again and gets his revenge, and he reveals that he's taken the Temp V and using his new temporary powers, kills Gunpowder real good. He kills him real good.
Real good. And that guy, again, definitely another one of the monsters in this show. And I think that's kind of the whole idea with Payday, and we'll obviously talk about them more in episode 3. But, I wanted to call out the fact that Stormfront is still alive, I think is crazy, at least at this point in the show. And just, it's just so gross. Like, not her necessarily, like her disfigurement, just the way that she acts, the way that Homelander comes in and just gets a handy from her on the table. You see him lowering her hospital bed. She can barely move. She has one hand, and he just zips and just talks to her as if she doesn't matter. She's nothing. It's all about his problems. Oh, it's just watching that moment, and again, another moment I had to cover up with the pillow on the airplane. I was just like, I can't let people see me watching this.
That was another graphic moment that probably not appropriate for people coming home from Disneyland.
Yeah.
But we will get to their relationship in just a bit. I did forget to mention that in episode 1, so I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
But elsewhere, Frenchie and Kimiko confront the other of Soldier Boy's partners, if you will, Crimson Countess. They do so at the Vought amusement park before she escapes after blowing up a Homelander mascot. A-Train is trying to get back to his roots, like in Roots. Get it? And the results are not very
great.
Successful. No, I don't think it's working. Now, in light of discovering the truth about Victoria Newman, Huey is investigating the Red River Institute. He discovers that the Institute is a refuge for superpowered kids, and Victoria was taken there by Stan Egger after she killed her own parents in grisly fashion. But then, as you mentioned, things have soured between Homelander and Stormfront. And later in the episode, as he's tasked with saving a random stranger, news comes out that Stormfront has killed herself, which sends Homelander over the edge. Later at his televised birthday celebration, Homelander lets his true feelings out, telling everyone listening, "You're not the real heroes. I'm the real hero." And with that, we wrap up episode 2 with a completely unhinged and terrifying Homelander. So yeah, what are some of your takeaways in going into the third episode here from everything we got here?
I mean, I gotta call out, seeing Huey and Starlight having very real discussions about, her journey and what he's trying to achieve. We see all of these characters, including Butcher, including Homelander to a certain degree, they're very much just struggling with what are they going to do next to deal with what's in front of them. And I love that we see that with Mother's Milk as well, his relationship with his daughter, and just seeing him become unhinged, and with his wife. And I think we see a little bit more of that in episode 3. But I love the little details with Huey and Starlight. I love him struggling to open the jam, and he passes it to her, and she just opens it no problem because she's got super strength. I had to bring up the boy band character. I don't even remember his name. Supersonic, and his absolutely cringy song about a girl turning 16 and getting her driver's license, and now it doesn't. Dude, the guy's super old. Like, why is he singing it? But I do like that he recognizes it. He's not as much of a monster. He's just like Starlight. He's just trying to get ahead in the game. But that led to a line from Homelander, come drunk on your chorizo picante, which just floored me to hear Anthony Starr say that so flawlessly on stage in front of him. And that moment where he's just like, we see him looking at him like that. It was just absolutely incredible. Seeing Mother's Milk trying not to swear in front of his daughter. I don't give a mother effing doo-doo. It was one of his lines that I absolutely loved. And I got to say, seeing Laurie Holden as Crimson Countess, especially at Votland, right after coming back from Disney, was hilarious. Again, we got to explore Marvel Campus at Disney, and so we very much were at the real world Votland at Marvel Campus. And so seeing this happen and seeing her explode the Homelander mascot in front of those two kids was absolutely devastating. And especially how we can then relate that back to Kimiko, where she talks about how her childhood was taken from her. And, she's kind of forced to wake up, and she kind of feels responsible for what happened to those kids as well. I mean...
Well, and yeah, poor, she's had such a rough go since we met her, and everything that's happened to her, and then she's had two moments here that you can see this sort of childhood wonderment in her eyes, and she's getting taken back to a better time in her life, only for it to just be stripped away from her in often gruesome, terrible fashion. There's somebody exploding literally physically to ruin her hopes and dreams. The poor thing.
And I love how they focus on Frenchie, and they bring up Sherry, which will lead us to another character interaction that was apparently really big in the comic books from what I was reading. But I also wanted to call out again just how unhinged Homelander is. He literally is telling someone who's on the verge of suicide to do it. And it's just, and this is right after comparing himself to Jesus Christ. Like it's just, when you think he can't go further, he does. And I'm just so scared to see how much further he goes this season after just these three episodes. And I also just want to call out, it's crazy to see art imitating life with a celebrity blow up at a gala event. Like, this would have been filmed before the Academy Awards, but still, this is, like, it's almost South Park level of parody to our real world situations, and it's kind of scary how that's lining up, man. Absolutely nuts.
Yeah. There's a few moments from that episode that are just dead on the nose, super timely. And in a show where everybody's so awful, it's unfortunate that it's paralleling the real world as often as it does. Let's move right into the third and final episode that we're reviewing today. It's called Barbary Coast. I thought this episode did a terrific job of showing us more of the history of the Supes by giving us some action-packed flashbacks. We also get a glimpse into the toll that Starlight's powers have on her physically as she deals with her smother mother during a superhero talent show when she was a kid. Yeah, it's really tough. You realize, has she ever been doing this for herself, or has it all just been to make her mother happy? And that's such a tough realization.
And it's so sad because that's, again, such a real thing that's still happening every single day with these pageant shows, and with, I dated someone who was in the figure skating world once, and all the problems that she had to go through because of her, physicality visually. It's one of those things where, getting a peak 17 years ago, I love how timely it is with the Britney Spears, though. I will say that was super, like, timely and fits that time. I hated seeing this little girl singing this. It was very cringy. But I did love the bookend. And I know we bring it up a lot on this podcast, but the bookend of her with the fist, both at the beginning and then obviously we'll talk about the moment at the end. But I just thought that was so perfect to sort of put her at the beginning and end of this episode. And again, the flashbacks with Payday, getting to see our Black Noir reveal was so very just there. It wasn't like a big thing that happened. It was just the character walked past the camera and we see, Black Noir for who they truly are. And and then we get to see what happens to them and why they become Black Noir. I have to say, this episode made me feel so much like Starlight is going to die. I feel like she's going to be killed off this season, just based off of everything that they're setting her up to be. I don't think she is going to get to lead the Seven. I think it's going to be a situation where we lose her, and that's going to cause Huey to maybe step up and go further than Butcher ever has. I don't know. That's one of my theories.
Wow, we haven't even done the full recap, and you're already jumping into
I'm
predictions.
Sorry.
No, I love it. And that's a terribly tragic but maybe spot on prediction on your part. But we can get to predictions really quickly here. I'll just recap sort of everything else that we saw in the episode. Much to everyone at Vought's surprise, Homelander's outburst at his birthday party actually pays off, and he's up 21 points with his base.
And you see the, I can't remember her name, but we see that assistant go in there, the PR assistant, and he's just getting a full on Hardy for her describing to him, and he's like, "It's not you. Don't worry, it's not you." He's so blunt about
but
it.
But also, don't stop.
Yeah,
but also don't stop.
It's just unreal, dude. I can't get over it. Unreal.
The boys are also officially back together as Mother's Milk rejoins the team in their new digs in the Flatiron building, which I thought was a cool little an idea fleshed out. It's such an iconic building, so that they're hiding out in there is really cool. The boys then go to visit Mallory to learn more about Soldier Boy. Through flashbacks, we join a young Mallory as she meets Vought's superhero at the time, Payback. The group includes, as you mentioned, Nate, a young Black Noir, who's actually complaining to a young Stan Edgar about not wanting to wear a mask, which would definitely be a mistake in just a few minutes as their mission goes off the rails. Over 116 soldiers die. Black Noir is just horribly maimed, and Soldier Boy is apparently killed by the Russians and their soup gun. So this is obviously the information that Butcher wants as they try to get their hands on something to take down Homelander. Speaking of Homelander, he takes pleasure in introducing Deep back into the team, into the Seven, only to subject him to a cruel and evil initiation involving an 8-armed friend.
Dude.
That was just so uncomfortable to watch.
But even, I was like, I don't know if I can be more, what made me more uncomfortable? Him, having sex with that lady and then just looking at this octopus, which I had to skip that moment. I watched it when I got home, but I didn't enjoy it. And then or him having to eat this guy whose name was Timothy. And he's looking up at him with those little eyes.
He has a family. He
has a family, dude. And just seeing this happen, and just again, you just see a great performance by Chase Crawford, and the moment with the ink. Oh my gosh, dude! Absolutely disgusting. It's just, the show is just finding new ways to make you feel so uncomfortable. That moment was harrowing.
Absolutely. In addition, Homelander makes it known he is running the show right now by introducing Starlight's friend Supersonic, who we've mentioned, as the 7th member of the Seven against Starlight's wishes. Homelander also reveals to Maeve that he's basically a loose fucking cannon now. He dares her, in fact, to release the footage, as you mentioned, from the airplane, lest he be able to unleash his true devastating powers. You know, if he's not going to be there for the people for peace, he'll rule in fear because he's Homelander and he can do whatever the fuck he wants to do. And as we mentioned earlier, that the plan that he has laid out in terms of, I would take out Washington first, then maybe I'd take out, was it New York or Los Angeles,
Dude.
Just for fun. I mean,
how he would take out the internet,
terrifying.
It's just again, he's
all the infrastructure.
He's so calculated with it, and he just, for him to have that in his back pocket is one of the scariest aspects about it. And it's just the fact that he can just sort of take out any of these characters at any given moment. It's just, it's nuts to me that he hasn't already broken that far and really just gone for it. And I think we'll get to see it. And again, I think it'll be because of the fact that Starlight ruffles too many feathers, especially given with what happens right at the end of the episode.
Well, yeah, then they're recording the episode for the reality show, and Starlight just shocks the world by kissing Homelander, suggesting maybe she's got something planned or up her sleeve. I mean, she's certainly trying to ruffle some feathers.
Right. We see him sort of force her to be in a relationship with him, a fake relationship. And it's interesting how the show, like, originally I was like, oh, they're going to be doing like a love triangle thing between Supersonic, Starlight, and Huey. And then for him just to come out of nowhere and just, again, it sounds so gross, but to force this relationship to become a thing is absolutely terrifying and awful. And it's just to see her, again, just sort of stepping up and just taking that moment with the fist behind the back. It just emphasizes so much that she's like, she hates every second that she's there, but she's doing it because she needs to move forward. She needs to ultimately take this guy out. And it's just crazy. That moment, I was like, what is she up to? How is this going to work? And I keep saying I think we're going to lose her. I hope she gets the upper hand. I hope she takes him out. But this show, unfortunately, doesn't normally end in happy ways for our main characters.
Well, no, and you've already mentioned that as a big prediction. Do you have any other predictions or thoughts on where you think the rest of season 3 is going to go?
Yeah, well, obviously we're going to learn more about Victoria Newman, the fact that Nadia is very much Stan Edgar's daughter. Essentially, he raised her, and kind of just learning a little bit more about that. I'm very interested to see where that bald woman, I can't quite remember her name, but from the previous season, who escaped the facility, who has a very similar power that she can explode people. I'm wondering if that is going to be their defense against Victoria Newman, and if they're going to be able to bring her on the team with the boys. And I also, as much as I hate to say it because he sounds like a truly terrible person, I think we are going to get to see a team up with Soldier Boy as a way to go against Homelander. I think he's going to be very integral to it. From what we've seen in trailers, he's an asshole. From what we've already seen, he's very much, he thinks in that very misogynistic way, where he's talking to Grace, but he's dude, I think he's gonna be a lesser of two evils situation, and they're going to work with him to try and take out Homelander. But I don't know if it's gonna work. I feel like we're gonna be amped up to see this guy do something crazy, and then it's just gonna get shot down really harshly, and he's just gonna get taken out so easily.
Well, and then will it come down to maybe Butcher? Is he going to struggle with? Did he enjoy having those powers? Is that something he's going to relish doing in order to take down Homelander himself? So I think that's sort of going to be a huge arc to the story, and hopefully the boys are able to rein him in, or at least help him do it in a productive manner. So I certainly think that that's going to be something we explore this season. But I think. For now, it's time to wrap up and give maybe just a brief overview of our overall impressions of the 3 episodes and our final score, which will be we'll do it for all 3 sort of as a chunk here, which is fitting as we're going to be doing it on a scale of 1 to 5 squishy exploding body parts.
Oh my gosh, I thought you were going to say Dicksplosions. I thought maybe that could have. We could.
I didn't want to specify it to just one of the explosions,
one of the body parts.
That one's going to be hard to shake.
Very hard to shake. These 3 episodes, as I said, you're going to cringe. You're going to feel awful. It sounds like we didn't enjoy it when you say it like that, but it very much is one of those things that it's just absolutely incredible to see the writing on this show, the way that they can take everything we love about Marvel and DC and flip it on its head. And they're really one of the few groups in the industry that can do that. And the way that they touch upon social commentary, the way that they sort of poke fun and bring up these really sort of harsh truths, all while still giving us these characters that we really do want to root for, especially in someone like Huey or even Butcher, and Mother's Milk and Frenchie and especially Kimiko, and to give us these characters like Ryan, who we just want to see have a normal life. I think it's really well done, and the fact that we're at season 3 allows them to go even further than they ever have before, in both ways that are realistic and scary, and ways that are comic booky and silly. And I think that's the coolest aspect about this show. For these 3 episodes, honestly, they are fantastic. I feel like it can get only a little bit more crazy as we go on, but I've really enjoyed it. I'm going to give it 4.5 Dicksplosions out of 5.
Nice. We're officially changing it, and I am absolutely A-okay with that. I think really where this season has shined so far is, as outrageous as some of the things we're seeing are, it's so grounded in our reality, the commentary that they're making on certain aspects of culture, that it's really, really an important show in that regard. That they're surrounding all these monstrous superpower characters, but they're all grounded in the root of evil in our own humanity, in such a way. It's really, really impressive to see. That said, because we're on season 3 of a show here, like you mentioned, we're so attached to these characters that we're rooting for, and the stakes just keep getting higher and higher with the evil and the threats that they're facing. And a show like this does such a good job of, you're never quite sure if anybody is truly safe. And so you're worried for these characters at every twist and turn. And I think, based on some of the more fun aspects of the show, the fact that we are 3 seasons deep, we kind of know what to expect. I think if in the first episode of this show back in season 1, if you had a tiny little Ant-Man crawling up somebody's penis and blowing them up, I'm not sure how an audience we would have taken it, but because they've conditioned us to expect these things, they are able to they're able to up the ante and increase the stakes, and it is fun to squirm and laugh out loud at these ridiculous moments, being the key word. And so I'm excited to see just how far they push the envelope, not just with those crazy moments, but with the real moments of these really well-developed characters. And fingers crossed that our favorites make it out A-okay. But for a start to the series, I was really, really impressed, blown away. I'm giving it 4.6 out of 5 Dicksplosions.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's it for the overstuffed review episode for Amazon's The Boys, Season 3, Episodes 1 through 3. We hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, make sure to subscribe to us wherever you like to listen to podcasts, if you haven't already. And if you want to write into the show with your thoughts or your predictions on the show we covered here, well, why don't you just inject some temp V into your internet browser and hit us up at wearegeekcentric@gmail.com. Or if that's a little bit too much like a coke-fueled trip up a urethra, you can hit us up on Twitter at GeekcentricYT or on Instagram at WeAreGeekcentric. Keep in mind, we also have a ton of other amazing episodes covering the latest and greatest shows and movies out now, including our interview with creators of the Disney Plus series Miss Marvel, Adil and Bilal. We also have our Watch Club series for Miss Marvel, which starts this week. But first, we have our spoiler-free review for Miss Marvel, which came out just yesterday, so be sure to check that out before the show hits Disney+. We also have our Watch Club for Episode 4 of Obi-Wan coming out later this week. We have reviews for Stranger Things Season 4, Volume 1, and for Bob's Burgers. Plus, we have an incredible giveaway that is awesome to infinity and beyond. Disney and Pixar present Lightyear in theaters on June 17th, but for our listeners in Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver, our friends at Disney Studios Canada want you to answer the call and see Lightyear early on June 15th with 3 other Space Rangers. So, we want you to hop on Instagram, make sure to follow us, comment with your city, and tag 3 members of your crew for a chance to win 4 tickets. We'll be giving away a set of 4 tickets for each of the 3 cities mentioned, and the giveaway closes June 13th. Plus, we normally have our weekly This Week in Geek episodes where we break down the latest trailers and news every single Wednesday. We are just so loaded with new shows, new watch clubs, everything. We're taking the week off, but we'll be back next week with our usual goodness there. So give those episodes a listen and leave a 5-star review if you don't mind. But until next time, Nate, thank you so much for joining me. And as we say...
R.I.P. Timothy. Love you.
But I love calamari. Get home safe, guys.